Welcome to the JP8 Report. This is James Pierce with the JP8 Report with a 2026 election interview with Mellisa Brown for Killeen City Council at-large candidate. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. As we get started, don't forget to click that follow button if you're not already a follower of the JP8 Report. And please give us a like. And you can chat with Mrs. Brown over here and during the podcast, and don't forget to share her interview out to help her out with her campaign. With that, all right, thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
Welcome to Copper's Cove.
Thanks. Very scenic out here.
Very scenic, yes.
Yeah.
All right, so the first thing I wanted to ask you was just tell us about yourself. Take as long as you want.
All right. If you can't tell by listening, I am not a native Texan. I grew up in upstate New York. I was a foster child who aged out of the system when I was 18. Started my college career at Syracuse University in pre-law. I was actually the first foster child to get New York State to pay for a private college. In the past, foster children could go to public schools. State would help to pay for it. I got accepted to Syracuse, to Brown, to NYU, and to Cornell, and I was dead set on going to one of them. My foster mom told me, you won't be able to afford it. That's a bet, right? Because you know me, I'm stubborn like that. If you tell me I can't, the answer is never no, it's not now, right? There's always a way. So I sent a letter. It was before emails. 17 years old, wrote a letter to my state representative, to my caseworker, to the CBS director at the time for Broome County in New York, and said, look, I know you pay my foster parents a per diem for every single day that I stayed in their house. I've got the scholarships to pay for my academic time there. If you were to take that money for the per diem and the clothing allowance you give all foster children a monthly, that would pay for my room and board, and it would pay for a meal card. And they went for it. And so I was able to go to Syracuse, live in the dorms up there, started my pre-law degree. Then I went on spring break or winter break, and I met this Marine. Yeah, right? Met a Marine, and after about 4 months, we were engaged. After 8 months, we were married. And I left there, and I went to Oceanside, California. My husband, James, and I have been married for 26 years, come August. First time and last time marriage. We take this very seriously, our vows until death do us part. So we've gone through 4 deployments, a 1-year tour of him going to Korea while I was home with our son. We have 2 children. Our oldest is 21. He graduated from Ellison High School and from the Career Center in 2023. He started his working career a week after graduation and went to work for Staccato 9/11 and then quit that job, and he now works at Firefly Aerospace. My daughter is a junior in high school. She's at Ellison she'll be a junior next year. She's at Ellison. She's getting ready to move over half day to the Career Center. By the time she graduates, she will have a 4-year vet tech certificate.
Oh, that's good.
When I was in high school, I actually had a major in law and government. So I graduated high school already with college credits towards law and government. I finished my bachelor's degree while my husband was deployed, while I was working full-time, while I had 2 kids. I understand what it is to grind, and I know how tough it is for those military spouses and dependents. But we can push through it and do it. So I have my bachelor's of business administration with a concentration in legal studies.
Where from?
Strayer University.
Okay.
Yep. Once I started moving around the country, they gave me the best quality degree, best education, but also allowed me to move around. And I worked for them for a while. I used to be an admissions director. Worked for a nursing home in Temple as their marketing director. I used to have a farmer's insurance agency that I owned. So I sold life insurance, car insurance, home insurance. Still know a whole lot about that if you have any questions. And then my husband was medically retired from the Army. And at that point, he needed a little bit more attention. And I had to decide which is more important to me, my family or a career. And at that time, I said, my family is much more important. money will come from other places. Career opportunities will come back up. My husband is there, and I said in sickness and in health, and so I'm going to be there for him when he needs it. Once he got to the point where he was doing better, I said, what do I want to do now? I've been following politics for a long time. It's always been a passion of mine. The opportunity came up to run for city council in Killeen, and I went for it. I lost my first election, and I came back. I won in 2020, and I have stayed very involved ever since then.
Cool. We used to live in Syracuse.
Did you really?
Liverpool.
Nice.
Yeah, I was an Army recruiter.
See, that's what got me in trouble. I went into the recruiter's office. That's how I met a Marine.
That's cool. So, all right. Well, that's
yeah.
You've been around. Yeah, our oldest daughter was born in New York.
Nice.
So when you said upstate, it was like, wow, that's cool.
You always have to remember add upstate.
Yeah.
Otherwise, people think you're from the city, and that's a whole different world, folks. I'm telling you.
Okay, so the first question I have is about experience. Okay, what specific professional or community service qualifies you to oversee the city's multi-million-dollar budget? I believe it's $339 million.
We're coming up on getting to $500 million. We're not quite as big as the school district's budget yet, but with all of the needs we have, it keeps growing every year. So, like I said, I owned my own business. I was an insurance agent, ran an agency. I have been the marketing director running million-dollar departments and managing multiple people there. I've been on the Killeen City Council before, the year that we received all the ARPA funding, and was one of the 7 council members who had to determine how we spent that extra money to use it as wisely as possible while still compromising. So I know what it takes to do that. I have worked for colleges and for financial aid for admissions. I have a lot of breadth of experience in different areas that each one I've been able to bring expertise and knowledge from that applies to operating a city, but also finding the priorities and the budgets. I'm also a secretary for LULAC Herencia 4297, and I'm a parliamentarian for Texas LULAC District 17. I'm involved in a lot of different community organizations through that and participating with citizens and the public. So being able to get that feedback on what those needs are.
Okay. So as an at-large candidate, so how would you balance the competing needs on different neighborhoods to ensure smart growth for Killeen as a whole?
One thing that frustrates me about having single member districts is that when you have someone, let's say from District 1, all of their concentration tends to stay on District 1 without realizing that every dollar we put into a project in District 1 takes a dollar away from Districts 2, 3, and 4. I think at large is the most beneficial position because you do have to take into account everything. Knowing where our infrastructure needs are already in the city, knowing where the growth opportunities are for expansion and development, and knowing what future infrastructure we need there. As an at-large council member, it gives me the opportunity to think about those things before we start investing into other projects.
Okay. So is there a difference in the term between a precinct council and an at-large council?
The term length is the same for the district and the at-large. The really only difference is districts. We have 4 districts in Killeen, 1 representative for each about quarter of the city. At-large has the same amount of time that we're there, just we don't have allegiance to one particular.
Right. They're 2-year terms?
2-year terms.
Okay.
This one will be 18 months though.
Right.
Yeah, because the city council just moved our elections to November of odd years.
Right.
So in order to facilitate that without extending by almost 2 years, the existing council members that were there, we said, okay, we're going to then shorten the term for the 2026 election. And then come November of 27, all 8 elected representatives will have a 2-year term.
That was very surprising when that special council meeting came up to move the election date for y'all.
It was not anything that had been discussed or announced. They had actually told us at the previous meeting that would be the last time they met until after New Year's because they thought they would have too many council members out of town to even have a quorum. And then it just showed up with that 3-day notice, not even a week. I am so proud of the number of people who became engaged, though, that came out and spoke at it, because it was one of the largest turnouts we've had citizen-wise in a long time. We had so many people come up and speak, and it just shows that when we give people the opportunity to speak in volumes, the council does listen.
Yeah. Killeen has recently faced leadership changes. Yeah. And recall efforts.
Yes.
And you're part of one of those recall efforts. How do you plan? All you have to do is read the newspaper.
Yeah.
How do you plan to restore trust and work with fellow council members who may have different political philosophies?
So it's all about everybody being on the same page, and why are we there? As long as we're electing people who are there for the betterment of the city, you can have compromise that doesn't compromise integrity, values, or ethics. As long as integrity, values, and ethics are still being met, a little bit of give and take on each side is good for everybody. When everybody walks away happy, you've done something wrong. When everybody walks away mad, you know you've really done something wrong. I've been in the position before, so I have that practice and that experience of being, the sole female on the council for a long time, which gives me an entirely different perspective than 6 males that are there thinking it from their point of view. So it's the ability to speak to people in the language that they understand, and then realize what's important to the citizens. Because if you have the citizen support, you get the support of your fellow council members, knowing that we're all doing what's best for everyone.
So when you were coming in, I was just reading a newspaper article that was posted online.
Yeah.
That just came out, and it was addressing recall efforts, and that the charter review committee that's in place right now is recommending lowering the recall number of signatures to be able to push forward a recall. Would you like to expand on that some?
Yeah, so one, I find it amusing and ironic because our city council limited our charter review committee on what topics they are supposed to discuss. They kept telling them do the recall, talk about the recall, make changes to the recall. They want it to be more difficult. I believe 2 things fundamentally. I believe that it should be easy to file a petition to recall an elected official. I believe that it should be difficult to actually get that recall done. Why? Because you should be able to address the fact that you're upset with your elected officials. That recall petition that you submit, that is the big sign right there that says you're not listening to us. We're unhappy with you. If there are enough people who believe that, you will get those signatures. But it is work. It's not easy even under the current guidelines. So I have ran the only successful recall petition since 2011 against Michael Boyd from District 4. That was hours of work and walking and talking to people and educating them, and then letting them make their own decision. What I find ironic about this is the committee is recommending making it easier to recall at-large and mayoral positions. So instead of having 50% of the people who voted in that election be able to sign it and bring it up to the ballot again, now it would only be 25%. And that makes sense to me. You're talking about citywide instead of those single member districts where there's maybe 250 to 1,000 votes. Instead, you're dealing with about 3,000 to 5,000 votes.
Right. Would that be so? In the last legislative session, they revised the criteria for recalls and made it open to county judges, county commissioners, justices of the peace, and there's a couple of them in there that could be that they added to the list to be able to recall. Was that some of the criteria that had to filter down, like a mandate from the state saying you had to make changes to the charter?
No. This is something, because we're a home rule city.
Okay.
We have the choice of whether or not we want to allow recalls. And then when we do have them, we can set our own rules for it. This is actually what we're dealing with right now is harder than it used to be. After the 2011 situation where essentially the entire council was either recalled or resigned at the same
Right.
time. They made it a little more difficult. So now we can't recall somebody within their first 6 months of
Right.
their term.
That's the same here in code.
Yeah.
First 6 months and last 6 months.
We don't have the last 6 month clause.
Oh.
So as long as it's not with it. Now, realistically, if you're in that last 6 months, there's no point in running a recall.
Just let them go.
Let them go. You find somebody else that you would support to be on that ballot for the position, and you vote them out.
Okay. All right. So road maintenance. Oh, wait. Yeah, road maintenance. Yeah, there we go.
Mm-hmm.
So wait a minute. Before we get there, what about working with people with different? I know it's all nonpartisan.
Yeah.
Most cities in Cove are in Texas are nonpartisan, but there are some.
Right.
There are D's and R's and I's. But you do know how people stand, regardless of what people say.
Right.
You can read the room and find out where people stand. Are you able to work with people across the aisle?
Absolutely. I've done it before. I did it from 2020 to 2022, and we were successful because we had people who were there who were willing to reach out across the aisle, work with each other. We were probably the most productive and the most successful city council Killeen has had in a very long time. We got traffic impact analysis passed that puts money from developers into infrastructure to build new roads and to maintain roads that are there. We got impact fees into place for water and wastewater services. We got drainage fees corrected. We got streetlight ordinances fixed. We were able to make sure public safety was taken care of. And we built up our public safety. We brought in mental health for first responders at a time when, if you remember, in 2020, everybody was calling to defund the police. There were a lot of defund the police supporters on the other side of where I sit, if we're not in a nonpartisan race. And we still managed to build up and support our police department because, look, I was willing to make a concession. If you help me support our first responders, I will help you support building a new park. Parks don't hurt us.
No.
You know, it doesn't go against my morals, my ethics, or my values. So if I know that that's something that's important to them and they know that this is something that's important to me, we can support each other on those two things. Overall, it still benefits the entire city by getting both of those passed.
Okay. Road maintenance. Residents consistently cite road maintenance as a top priority. I know one road in particular. What is your plan to address the backlog of repairs given current budget restraints? And you can, well, I don't know if Chaparral applies as the Killeen.
Chaparral does apply to Killeen, even though we only own a small portion of it right now. Once all the repairs are done, Killeen is going to be responsible for the entirety of the maintenance, all the way from 195 to after the bridge at Stillhouse Hollow.
Okay.
So we'll have that whole thing. We're going to be playing catch up. I'm not going to lie, it's going to be a hard one. We're playing catch up on something that we've known needed to be done for a long time, and we continue to build new roads. Step number one is when we did our comprehensive plan the last time I was on the council, we talked about doing something called road dieting. So we'll take Rosewood. Rosewood right now does not need to be 5 lanes across.
No.
And actually that's too big for the speed limit that we have for the amount of traffic, which is why we have so many accidents going on over there. If we were to narrow that reduces the amount of money we have to spend maintaining those roads, which increases the amount of money we can use for maintenance in other areas where it's desperately needed. And we need to stop building new roads into areas where there is no development right now, just for the sake of future development, because that continues to add on to the maintenance issue when we can't keep up with what we have right now. So that's where we start. We start by prioritizing what needs to be done, but also dieting those roads down. We stop spending our street money on street trees, and we stop spending it on putting flowers and irrigation systems. That's not why the citizens of Killeen are paying taxes and paying a street maintenance fee. We don't pay it so we can have trees and foliage. We need the streets to be drivable. Otherwise, all the trees do nothing but, make a bad place shadier.
Yeah. So Stagecoach and Featherline Those roads, I was a Chaparral. I don't like driving down Chaparral.
Yeah.
And there are just as many roads on the north side that are just as bad. Um, so, like the former mayor told me that the Rancier project is about to take off.
It was supposed to, but I don't think it's going to at this point. A lot of the money that we had anticipated using for the Rancier project to build it the way it had been designed was going to be through taking out a certificate of obligation bond. So for anybody who's not familiar with what that is, certificate of obligation, it's a bond debt that we go into, but the citizens don't get a say in it. The taxpayers don't get a say. It's only those elected officials. And in this case, it would be the people who are assigned to the TERS and then each of the entities that are part of the TERS. We lost a major project in Killeen that would have been in the tax increment reinvestment zone area when the VA decided to put the clinic in Copper's Cove. The revenue that should have covered the cost of the bond was going to come from that VA being built there. We don't have that revenue now. We're not going to be able to afford it unless we can get some more state and federal grants. So I see that being put on hold and postponed.
We're not complaining about that.
No.
Hold on.
Not at all.
We needed that project really bad.
I think it's good for Cove, and I think that it made more sense. Even I would have, don't get me wrong, I would have loved to have seen it come to Killeen. I think we did have a really good location for it, but we also have to think about our neighbors and what's best for them. It's still really close for Killeen residents to get to, but it also makes it more convenient for people in Gatesville, for people in Kempner to be able to get to that VA medical care without having to drive all the way to Temple or Waco.
You might have got some votes from Copper Scope people just now. So, do you support the continued funding of major projects like the Rancier Avenue improvements or the Southwest Branch Library, even if they require significant debt or budget trade-offs?
No. Very short. No, I don't. And then I'll explain. We have to take care of necessities first. I think that Rancier could use a repaving, yes, but also not all of Rancier belongs to the city. We shouldn't be taking on that full cost. Areas that still belong to the state, we should be actively engaging the state to come in and at least do repaving on it so that it's safe. A lot of our issues on Rancier, and I talked to the engineers about this, if we fix the timing of the stoplights through there, that would solve a lot of those traffic backups. As far as building a new Southwest Branch Library, CTC, Texas A&M are both in the southwest part of Killeen, and we already have an MOU with them so that residents of the city of Killeen can go use either of those libraries. The only thing they don't have is a children's section, but I feel like we have enough other options and outlets there. I don't see the libraries being used as much for children anyway right now. So let's put that into necessities and definitely not take out debt for something that's more of a luxury item.
Okay. What is your stance on extending the city limits, and how will you ensure new developments have the necessary infrastructure, water, sewer, roads before they're approved? Because we just went through that here in Copperscope with new additions being built, and before they would approve it, you will improve these roads.
Yeah. If we are following our comprehensive plan, we're not approving any new growth until all of the infrastructure is there. Whether it's something the city eventually is able to build out to, or whether the developer comes in and puts it in first. And if they're putting it in solely because they need it for development, that should be a cost on them. We ask for it to be oversized because we have areas in Killeen right now where the city will tell you, oh, the water pressure is fine. But if you ask anybody who lives there, they'll tell you it's fine when everybody else is at work. When everybody needs to use the water, there's no water pressure. Not only is that a quality of life issue, that becomes a safety issue, right? So if we have a fire in these subdivisions where we've got houses that are small and they're packed together closely, the water pressure isn't there. What happens when they hit a hydrant or two and they can't get that pressure because people are showering? Um,
Those are pig snout homes where all the garages are in the front.
yeah, we have. And we call them garden homes. Garden homes because they have no real yards. It's just like a plot. Your yard is basically a garden around you.
Yeah.
Again, all we have to do is follow what we already have in place, ensure that the infrastructure is there, and then if not, look, do the work first. Come back, show us that it's done. Which is why I think new development should always go on a PUD anyway.
Do y'all have in Killeen? Do y'all have developers that do volunteer annexations?
Voluntary annexation, rarely, but we've had a couple of them come up recently, mostly in the Chaparral area.
Okay.
The problem with that, again, like you alluded to, usually if it's in the county area, it doesn't have the infrastructure there. In the county area, you don't have sanitary sewer, you don't have water lines coming in. You're usually using well and septic, right? The one that was most recently approved has everything except the sanitary sewer lines. Say that 5 times fast. Running out to it anyway. We don't get a lot of annexation requests, and I am hesitant to approve any because we still need more fire stations for what we already have inside the city limits. We need more police officers. We need more solid waste truck drivers and equipment in order to handle that growth. There's no point in bringing more in if we don't have the services to meet the needs we already have.
Okay. Well, how do you address the need for competitive pay and increased staffing in Killeen's police and fire departments while managing a projected decrease in sales tax revenue?
You've got 2 completely different scenarios that most definitely connect, and connect in a third way, because right now the only option that we've had is to increase property taxes. Everybody is aware that we are in a situation in Iran. We are in conflict right now. What happens when conflict comes up and you're the largest city next to the largest military installation in the country? I know during the Gulf War, Killeen became a ghost town and it hurt everyone.
So did here.
Yeah. And Killeen already is not a business-friendly city. We have too many fees. We have too many regulations, too many permits, and the cost of them are outrageous. When you can't sustain those smaller businesses, the larger businesses don't even want to come in, and it makes it harder to shift that reliance over to sales tax. But if everybody leaves, they're not paying their property tax either. If we were to be able to bring in the right businesses by becoming more business friendly, reducing some of these fees, reducing some of the rates, getting rid of some of the permit costs, allowing people, something as simple as I want a banner flag in front of my business to say, hey, I'm here and I'm open. Why would we charge $85 a month for that?
That is absolutely correct.
Right.
Because we do the same thing here too.
And so all you do is you push those businesses away.
Yeah.
When you have bigger industry and businesses that are looking to go into someplace, they're going to say, how do they treat the businesses that are already there? If they see that you're not even friendly to your small hometown, homegrown businesses, they don't want to come here.
Yeah.
So I think it starts with becoming more business friendly, and then we can move on from there.
It's like when someone needs a certificate of occupancy into a building.
Right.
And code compliance comes in there and they're doing their inspection. And they say, well, you need to do this before you go. But up and say, what does that have to do with me owning a business and affecting me providing a service to my customers? Okay. It's not. We knew someone that they denied them. It was here in Cove, but they didn't have quarter round on the wall, and they denied them until they put quarter round down. I'm like, what does that have to do with the Varsity in China?
Was it a health or a safety issue?
It couldn't have been.
If it was not a health or
but
a safety issue.
But they said it was required. I'm like, that was one of the reasons why, because I used to be on the city council here. That was one of the reasons why people weren't listening to the citizens. Elected officials weren't listening.
Right.
Yeah.
And the question is, was it required when the building was erected? Right. Was it required when it was built? Because if it was, it never should have been approved
right.
in the first place. If it wasn't required, then it's grandfathered. You can't tell somebody you leased or bought this building as is. And in order for you to open up a business that is similar to what was already here, you have to make all these renovations. That's
Oh my
ridiculous.
goodness, that's one of my other pet peeves. You have people that don't slide out of the camera. Uh, the we have there are businesses out there they repair, they have to replace AC units, make all these renovations and stuff to be able to move in. Something breaks, they're responsible for making all the repairs, but if they move, they can't take it with them.
Right. And so you
And it should be the responsibility of the property owner to take care of it. In the Texas realty law, uh, if you own a house and you like have a dishwasher and dishwasher breaks, you're required by law to fix it.
Mm-hmm.
And but if you're a business, it's on the business renter to be able to fix the stuff instead of the property owner. And that's something that really needs to be looked at the legislature and down in the municipalities.
Yeah, I think that's a little bit above the pay grade of a council member right now, but I'll keep it in mind when I make that statement.
Yeah, you just hit on something that gnaws on me.
But it's true, right? And so because we keep enforcing all of these stricter and stricter regulations,
it just runs
the
people out.
state doesn't say we have to do this. It's just something that we are deciding to do because you can make money off of it. It's quick money, and people know if you want to run your business, you have to pay these fees. Yeah. So I would say that.
And if you keep it small enough, you just work out of your house, and all these brick and mortar company buildings out there, they stay vacant.
Right, and then it decreases the value of those, decreases the tax you get from that. As far as how do we still take, I'm letting you know, I remember the first part of your question. So how do we take care of the need to pay competitively and bring on more first responders? We start eliminating unnecessary roles. One of my big issues with the school district is the number of admin that we have at the district level. If you have more people, we'll put it this way, if 50% of your budget for salaries is a handful of people making $100,000 or more, then that means everybody that you have working boots on the ground, doing the day-to-day stuff, working with the citizens, having those daily interactions, probably working 3 times harder than anybody that's able to sit in the air conditioning or heat controlled office every day. We're not paying them enough. We're not giving them enough benefits. We're not giving them good enough compensation all around. So one of the easiest ways for us to do that is to adjust how we pay for health insurance. If we're increasing a 3% COLA, but your premium for your health insurance for your family goes up by 5%, we have cut your pay this year.
Right.
So let's start there and let's get rid of some of these duplicate and triplicate leadership jobs we have that will cut hundreds of thousands of dollars down. When you're dealing with less than $500 million, you can take 10% of that out of the budget and you can get $50,000. Now you have something that you can work with to start readjusting that money to where it's needed.
And I personally agree that public servants should not make more than the governor. Because you got lots of people out there that make well over $150,000 a year, and if you make $250,000 or so, because some city managers are well compensated, but the average person in the Killeen area doesn't make anywhere close to that.
No, depending on which numbers you want to use, our AMI or average median income for your area median income is anywhere between $34,000 and $52,000 a year. So when we have a city manager getting paid about $300,000 a year, and we continue to run in a deficit year after year after year, that leads me to ask where the priorities are. We hired a second assistant city manager, and we're in a deficit. Where are the priorities? So, again, we have too many people getting paid too much money. And the excuse I despise the most is, well, we have to be competitive with other cities. We have to be competitive if we want quality people.
That's a go-to excuse.
Go-to excuse. But what are the benefits of coming here? If we can't sell ourselves to somebody to come in and be a city manager for less money than Austin or Waco or Dallas, it's no wonder we can't bring business in. right? We have a lower cost of income than all of those other places, or lower cost of living than all of those other places do. So you might make less, but you're spending less on your housing, you're spending less on your gas, on your food. You're going to make more in the long term. And if the person who is a candidate for a position like that can't understand their take home and what they're going to be able to bank versus what they're getting paid into the bank, they're probably not fiscally savvy enough to be a city manager or a department head anyway.
Community policing.
Yes.
Do you support the implementation of police stations, police substations in neighborhoods as a method of crime prevention?
Absolutely. I think that we need substations, not just in neighborhoods, but in our densely commercial areas where we know it's high crime. The more police presence you have, the more of a detractant there is for having stuff actually happen. What are parks that tend to be more crime ridden? I would actually just go ahead and put them at the park. That way you're not in people's houses in the neighborhood around it, taking up that residential space, but it's safety in the daytime and at night in those parks. I'm also a big proponent of fire substations where we could have one or two small trucks, but especially have ambulances strategically placed throughout the city.
City ambulance, they do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I can't believe I should have named them.
No,
but
there is an ambulance company in a city. Is what you said, right?
Yeah. One of my daughters used to work for them,
Okay.
and in Temple they have, and I won't name the medic part, but yeah, they were living in a house on call at all times, and I was like, wow, why are you in a residential? And she explained to me, that makes good sense.
When you have enough calls for service and you need to get there quickly and you know that's great, why not? You don't have to have a fire truck in all these areas, but at least have the ambulance be able to get there.
Yeah, substations for police departments are all right too, but I honestly believe you should have a presence patrol at all times. That's community policing.
Yeah.
The police officers should know their sector where they are assigned and know, oh, look at that. There's Melissa's house. Where's she been? She should be around. And maybe go knock on the door. Yeah. Hey, this is James, Officer James. Just checking to see how things are going with you. Did you need anything? But that's part of being a police officer, to protect and serve, right? For the most part.
I would love to be able to do that. But being realistic, being fiscally responsible right now, we don't have the number of police officers to do that. So in lieu of being able to put these patrols everywhere all the time and still respond to emergencies and still go out to community events, having substations strategically placed is our next best option until we get to a point where we can bring on more police officers and have more vehicles and have those patrols out there. I think that what the city of Killeen has done well is putting together our community engagement unit, which are officers specifically designated to going out and community policing, getting to know the individuals, getting to know the businesses, doing all of the educational stuff, working together with neighborhood watch programs. And I do support a neighborhood watch program, having a few people that go actually get trained, so it's not just I'm spying on my neighbor. I don't think we need neighborhood watch patrols out there with armed citizens that haven't gone through a lot of training. They're not paramilitary. They're not substitute police force. They're people trained to look out for things that are odd in the neighborhood. There should be a specific number that somebody on that neighborhood watch can call separate that would increase the priority of calls to there if they know that they're already trained in it. I think that would encourage more people to become involved also.
Did the former police chief have any of those improvements?
He put together the homeless outreach team, and towards the end of his tenure, he put together the community engagement unit.
Okay.
Our current police chief put together the domestic violence unit, which I'm glad for because it's something that hadn't been addressed in the past.
That's Chief Perez, right?
Lopez.
And Chief Kimball was before him.
Correct. Yeah. Kimball's about to be our district 2 council member.
Because he was unopposed.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. Do you the homeless shelter project was previously delayed due to funding.
Mm.
Where did that rank in your list of priorities for the 2027 fiscal year?
Not even on the list. We do need to take care of the less fortunate. We do need to make sure that there is sheltering for emergency services. We need to make sure that domestic violence victims are taken care of. But to spend $3 million to build a new pop-up sprung metal prefab shelter, plus $1.5 million a year to operate it, plus another $500,000 a year to operate transitional housing, is ridiculous. I would take less money and invest it into some of these empty apartment buildings that we have, allow FIC or whomever put out bids, let them come in and operate it, expand on what we have, but let's not spend all this money putting up something brand new. And also remember, the more luxury that you make it to be homeless, unfortunately, the more homeless you're going to draw in from other areas. It's a very fine line balance. We have to do something because otherwise it becomes a health, safety, welfare issue for everybody. But it's not a $5 million right now necessity.
So, since we mentioned apartments and stuff, that's not on my list, but was Studio 42 a good investment?
No, it was not.
Why not?
That's 75 years worth of property taxes that we gave up. Only 50% of it is considered affordable or moderate housing. The subsidized rate is still more than what, going back to our police officers, it's more than what a rookie police officer could afford to stay in on the subsidized rate. It hasn't brought the foot traffic. Remember when they first proposed it, Station 42 was going to bring in all the foot traffic that we needed to build a grocery store in North Killeen.
Where's that grocery store at?
Not in North Killeen.
Yeah.
They just opened 2 more in South Killeen, though. I think they just got their directions wrong. We have a new gas station over there, though.
Okay.
You know, if you can
3
afford,
times the prices for a gallon of milk.
but if you can afford to stay at Station 42, you can afford to pay $6 a gallon for milk.
Yeah.
You know, I think that was a horrible investment. I think investing in the Avanti Legacy Parkview over by Destiny Church was horrible. That one's 99 years of tax exemption.
Oh my goodness!
So the city
That's
is
a lot of property tax.
right for over 100 years. Right, between those 2 alone, we're losing hundreds of thousands of dollars. They want to say that, oh look, it's the disabled veterans. We don't have money for necessities, but we continue to make unwise decisions about giving up property taxes.
Right, you're on the money. You are on the money. So Killeen has, you are not going to believe this one, but you walked right into it. Man, you have not even seen this. I have not shown any of these questions, okay? So if y'all are asking. But Killeen has seen reduced state reimbursements for disabled veteran property tax exemptions.
Mm-hmm.
How do you propose the city bridge this revenue gap without overburdening other taxpayers?
Wow.
Those 380 agreements.
I did walk myself into that, didn't I?
Yeah.
Not just those agreements for the city's PFC and apartments. We need to look at more wisely deciding where we're putting economic development money, and what agreements we are making on those. Who we're going to give that money to. I'd rather give smaller amounts to more of the small businesses than give huge chunks of money to big businesses that are bringing 35, 40 people who are making $60,000 a year. You know, we want to try to grow from within. We still need those big businesses to come in, filling up our commercial space, not taking all of that space and making it residential, because you know what is not tax exempt in perpetuity is commercial space, especially if it's leased.
Right.
So if we were to bring in more of the businesses, the manufacturing, the logistics, the transportation, warehousing, 195 corridor is the perfect place for that right now. That offsets any residential property tax that the veterans are not giving. We don't want to get rid of the veterans. We don't want to get rid of that exemption because the amount of money they put into our economy far outweighs any property tax we're not getting. When you start chasing away the veterans, they're going to take their sales tax money and they're going to spend it in Waco. Coming here to Coke, they're going to spend it here. They're going to go to Harker Heights, Round Rock, Austin, every place but the city that's basically saying, we don't want you.
Yeah. And I told that someone the other day, I prefer to spend, since I am 100% disabled, so I don't pay property tax. But you can ask my wife that I spend as much money in Copper's Cove as I can, because to make up the difference. Well, you'll never make up the difference on your property tax compared to sales tax, but I spend as much as possible to help the city out.
Right. We're in the same spot. My husband is 100% disabled. We don't pay property taxes, which is why I feel it's even more important that I'm a good steward of tax money. You know, if my household is not directly contributing to it, I need to be even more particular about how we use that money. I need to make sure we're being even more responsible with it, because my neighbors are picking up more of that money right now. We don't have anything else to rely on. I need to be a good steward of my neighbor's money.
So the EDC that's in Killeen, is that like a type A or type B or even a type C?
It's a type just EDC.
It's just a regular EDC?
It's just an EDC.
So they can bring in any type of business?
Yes.
Like the one here in Killeen, in Copper's Cove is a type A, which we're bound by law to look for primary level businesses, the bigger businesses that spin off secondary and tertiary.
Right.
That's kind of where we are. But so Killeen can bring in any type of business.
So Killeen's EDC supported everything from a brewery up to a chemical plant, right?
Okay.
We can bring in anything. It also means that they do not rely on tax dollars as far as getting a percentage of our sales tax.
Right, that's what ours is.
Right. So they don't get any of our sales tax dollars directly. We have a set amount that we fund to them every year.
Is it a board or is
it
it's just a board?
It's a board.
Okay.
So it's 3 members of the city council. It's 3 members of the Chamber of Commerce. It's 3 members of the Killeen Industrial Foundation.
Okay.
And I would love to adjust how that board is comprised. There should always be some sort of citizen representation on anything being made decision-wise.
Right.
We have other chambers of commerce besides the Greater Killeen Chamber. We're going to have one represented. We need to have all of them represented.
You have the Innovative Black Chamber of Commerce. You have the Greater Killeen Chamber of Commerce also.
We have the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, and we also have the Korean Merchants Association that everyone forgets about.
I did not know about that one.
Yes.
Okay.
So, if we're going to
That's good that you know about it, because you want to represent them on the city council. And so if you don't know who represents who inside the city in terms of businesses, how are you going to make a rational decision for them and for the citizens?
Right. So if I'm only looking at it as far as, well, IBCC needs this, GKCC needs this, and the HCC needs this, then we have an entire chamber. They call themselves a merchants association, but we have that entire chamber of commerce essentially that's being left out of everything. They're not able to give input. They're not able to ask questions, and their needs aren't taken into consideration.
Do they generally come to the city in looking for hotel motel taxes for events and stuff around the city, or general fund requisitions?
They typically don't come to the city asking. Yeah.
Okay.
They are, which is why I think it's the perfect reason they need to be involved. If they've been able to be self-sufficient without getting the city money, hey, give us some tips, right?
Okay.
Give us some pointers as to how your organization continues to grow and thrive without getting money from the city, where, you know, the Greater Killeen Chamber of Commerce gets a substantial amount of money from the city of Killeen, either through our membership directly or for the fact that our EDC pays our Chamber of Commerce for what they call economic development services.
Okay.
And they manage all of the money for our EDC.
Well, EDC and the Chamber of Commerce, they're working hand in hand. That's good, because the EDC is responsible for bringing businesses in, and the Chamber of Commerce is responsible for keeping businesses here.
It's good to a point. Where it becomes not so good is if I am representing the Chamber of Commerce and I have 2 or 3 members in this particular industry. We have someone coming into the EDC who would be a direct competitor. Mm-hmm. If I'm on the chamber and my responsibility is to help keep them in business and help them grow, am I going to be as likely to help this new business coming in that's going to compete with them?
Right. Okay. And then let's see. Are you familiar with financial governance policies adopted in 2024?
Yes.
Okay. And what improvements would you suggest for fiscal transparency?
I would make it so that anytime there is a change order, I don't care if it's $50,000 or less, or 10% of the total contract bid or less, at least once a month we need to have a flow report of all of the change orders that have been submitted. That starts adding up quickly. If we have contracts for less than $50,000 that we let the city manager approve without council approval, there needs to be a public access list to what all of those contracts are. This is how we start nickel and diming ourselves into deficits, right? I think that we need to get rid of. I'm not sure if you're aware, the city of Killeen passed something similar to a 380 agreement, but for residential. So we can now offer tax abatements for up to 10 years on residential developments, apartment complexes that are not just low income. Just bring in an apartment complex, give them a 10% or a 10-year tax abatement. We need to get rid of that. We shouldn't have any contract without that list of them at least being here, and every single project that they're associated with and what that total amount is. What I have noticed, not just in Killeen, in Cove, in Bell County, pretty much anywhere, we rely on humans, and I'm glad we do. AI is not ready yet to do a whole lot of anything official for us. But when we have, say you work in solid waste, I work in fleet services, we both have a company that we like to work with. As the purchasing manager for your department, you're going to put that company in as Brown LLC. I'm going to put it in as M Brown LLC. It's the same company, but they're being billed as if they were two different vendors. You can end up with 50,000. I can end up with 50,000. We've crossed that threshold, but there's no way to cross-reference those.
Oh, yeah.
That's why if we have all of that information in a list, it makes it really easy.
So back to the council itself and the composition of it. What is your view on the how do they put it in the newspaper? The changing of the chairs on the deck of the Titanic.
Yeah, I'm all about setting some very firm term limits on the city council for Killeen. You should have no more than 3 total terms in a seat. You can go to from the council to the mayor, for example. Once you've finished 3 terms in each of those, that's it, you're done. You move on or you move up. To continue to go back and forth, we're not getting any new ideas, we're not getting any new action, and we're not getting any improvements. The longer you're there, the more complacent things tend to get.
Okay. So how would you ensure that the public has freedom of speech during council meetings?
All right, you know that this one is personal to me. I'm about to make an admission. I've been arrested twice at Killeen City Council meetings.
That's good for transparency.
It is, and I've had the charges dropped twice. The first time was for disturbing a meeting or procession because I refused to just sit back quietly and not speak when someone else was afforded the same opportunity. It seemed like it was a very case-by-case individual basis, which is not how it should be. The second time was for attempting to attend an open public meeting after I had been kicked out of a previous one, before the meeting even started, and I was charged with criminal trespass, which was dropped pretty quickly.
How would you fix that?
Pretty simple. You allow people to speak. You stop interrupting them. If you're a council member and the mayor is out of line, you can call a point of order on the mayor and hold the mayor accountable also. One of the key responsibilities that we have up there as council members is to hold each other accountable. So making sure that we change our governing standards to allow for, one, both comment during work sessions and meetings as per the Open Meetings Act. I am a proponent of allowing citizens to participate via video conference. So Zoom is the most common one that's used. We allow our council members to participate on Zoom. Our citizens should be afforded that same opportunity. It's not difficult. We do it at the county level. I'm pretty sure Killeen can figure it out. We need to change our meeting times back. So right now they're starting at 3 p.m. on a Tuesday afternoon. People are working, students are at school. Not only does that stifle citizens and their ability to connect and comment, it also stifles the ability for other people to run for office. If we want true engagement, true trust, and true transparency, everyone needs to be available.
Aren't school systems required now to have their meetings at night?
The schools are. They're required to have their actual meetings where they take action.
It should be all taxpayer elected entities should have it open to where
all governing bodies.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree.
Okay. So with all that being said, you need to let us know why Mellisa Brown wants to be on the Killeen City Council again.
I have the passion. I have the knowledge. I do the work. I do the research. I've been the constant voice for the citizens. And I'm not afraid. I'm not going to back down. I'm not going to be pushed into backing down. Most importantly, as my husband likes to say, even if the other people who are not of the same mindset as me don't get up there and I'm outvoted 9 times out of 10, the one thing that they can't keep from me at that point is information and access to information. And I've always been a very transparent person. So if I have access to the information, as long as it's legal to share it, the public has access to that information. I have the ability to help us start rebuilding trust. We don't have trust between our council and our citizens. We don't have trust from outside investors. We don't have trust from outside investors. We continue to decline instead of grow.
Okay. And that's why
that's why I want to be there.
You want people to vote for you?
I would love for you to come out May 2nd, vote for Mellisa Brown. Go to my website and get an idea of who I am at go2vote.online. Go2vote.online. Take a look at it. You can chat with me here. I hope you've been asking questions. I'm answering them as soon as this is playing. But also message me there. Ask me questions. My phone number is out there, 254-229-3505. I am not afraid of getting that information out there. I want to be contacted. I want to connect with you. I want to be a voice for you.
All right. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you all for listening to Mellisa Brown and her run for city council at large. And then thank you all very much for tuning in. And if you're watching and you would like to be a follower on the JP8 Report, please click that follow button and click that like button. And don't forget to share.
Please.
Right? Yep. So y'all have a nice evening. This is James Pierce with JP8 Report. Catch you on the flip side. I'm out.